We have breaking news coming out from the Attorney General election in Virginia. Right now, it's between Jay Jones, who is the Democrat, and then Jason Miyares, who is the Republican incumbent. And a scandal just broke loose, which has led to, I think, one of the greatest political ads in history, by the way, which we're going to be showing in a second. But here's what happened. National Review broke the news that Jay Jones, the Democrat, has been texting delegates in Virginia about wanting to inflict political violence on Republicans. We have the texts. Here is what they say. These are literally the original texts. And this is between, again, a delegate and Jay Jones. There are three separate conversations. For those just listening, I'll read them out to you. The person who talks to Jay says, "You weren't simply asking questions and you know it." Then Jay says, "I genuinely was. I wasn't attacking you. I was trying to understand your logic." Then this person says, "You weren't trying to understand. You were talking about hoping Jennifer Gilbert's children would die." And then Jay Jones says, "Yes, I've told you this before. Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy." Okay, a new conversation now. Just kind of laying this all out there. This delegate says, "There isn't. I point blank asked you more than 3 times and you dug in what you meant. I honestly am questioning a lot today." And he says, "I mean, do I think Todd and Jennifer are evil and that they're breeding little fascists? Yes." And then, of course, the most shocking conversation here at the end. You see it on the right hand. Here we go. The delegate says, "They say nice things about everyone, lol." And Jay Jones says, "If those guys die before me, I will go to their funerals to piss on their graves, send them out awash in something." And then the delegate says, Jay Jones, and he says, 3 people, 2 bullets. Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets in the head. Spoiler, put Gilbert in the crew with the 2 worst people you know, and he receives both bullets every time. And the delegate is saying, "Hey, stop saying this. Stop saying this." And so presumably they go to the National Review and break the story. So this man should never be in politics, obviously. This is crazy. This is a deeply, deeply disturbed person. The phrase, again, this is in quotes, "only when people feel pain do they move in policy." It sounds like it came from a political science class at UC Berkeley. It really does. Because as crazy as this sounds, this is a very mainstream thought process on the progressive left and in communism, especially the communist wing of the Democrat Party. This idea that you have to inflict pain on people for them to make change is embedded in communism 100%. So I know it sounds kind of crazy and fringe. It's really not. This is quite mainstream right now in the Democrat Party. Donald Trump immediately came out, called for Jay Jones to step out of the race, which is very good. I don't think they're going to do it. Virginia Republicans really jumped on the opportunity, as they should, and came up with literally one of the best political ads I think I've ever seen. It is brutal. Take a look.
We start with breaking news from the campaign trail.
Jay Jones is under fire tonight.
Jay Jones is under fire.
Jay Jones is under fire after messages he sent in 2022 saying former Virginia House Speaker Todd Gilbert should be shot.
I'm excited about this ticket.
It's been great to be out on the campaign trail with Jay Jones.
You said Gilbert's wife could watch her own child die in her arms so that Gilbert might reconsider his political views.
We deserve an attorney general who will stand up for the people of Virginia.
Jones said, quote, "Gilbert, Hitler, and Pol Pot. Gilbert gets 2 bullets to the head."
Let your rage fuel you.
Jones doubled down, saying, quote, "Do I think Todd and Jennifer are evil and that they're breeding little fascists? Yes."
How can Virginians trust a man who said something so horrific, so callously?
Only when people feel pain personally do they move on policy.
In the wake of all the political violence that we are experiencing in our country right now, this ad is powerful. And I am hoping, and I suspect, because the Republican Party's gotten a lot better at this, Republicans will dump a truckload of money into Virginia running this ad. If you look at the numbers right now, if you're curious about the Virginia race, it's very, very close. On the governor's side, Spanberger is leading Earl Sears by 12% in this poll. You can see in the AG, in the Attorney General race, it's very close. Jay Jones is only winning by 6% on Miyares. Again, Miyares is the incumbent, and Earl Sears is currently the lieutenant governor to Glenn Youngkin. So this is a Republican-held place. It's fantastic because it is blue. I think it's trending purple, but right now Virginia is more on the blue side. The fact that Republicans have control of the executive branch is huge for Republicans. They really cannot afford to lose. On the lieutenant governor race, it's the closest between Hashmi, and Reed, 49% to 45%. One more poll. This is by Trafalgar. Spanberger in the governor race is leading by about 6%. Now, again, in this poll, they asked people how many of you are not sure? And there's 9.4%. So If 9.4% can see, because let's be honest, right? The Democrats that are saying they're going to vote for Spanberger, they're probably not going to change, even with something as horrible as this scandal. Some of them may not show up to the polls, which is good, but I don't know if they're going to change. Earl Sears, no one's going to flip from Earl Sears to Spanberger. The not sure, if they see that political ad, 100% all of them are going to vote for Earl Sears. I mean, if they weren't quite sure who they were going to vote for, that makes it real easy. Don't vote for the person who calls for political violence on their political opponents, right? So that 9.4% is quite promising. If you look at AG again, once again, very close. Jones is up 3.8% on Miyares, 48.8% to 45%, but again, 6.2%, not sure. And then the lieutenant governor race, very close, 48.2% for Hashmi, and Reed, 43.6% with 8.1% not sure. Again, I highlight the not sure part because if they can get this information out, if this runs in the news, and if the political ads work, then they can pick up a ton of people from that not sure category. So again, for as close as it looks, it's pretty clear Democrats are going to win unless that gets out there. If that message doesn't get out, they lose, in my opinion. I really don't see what they can do. This really should be the reason they lose. You can't say things like that. And you saw in that political ad, by the way, the Democrat governor running, Spanberger, was behind Jay Jones 100%, and to this day has not rescinded any sort of promotion or endorsement. So they're linked together, and I believe the lieutenant governor, probably for Democrat, are in the same way. I think they're running together. And so with that information, you would have to imagine that not only is that going to hurt Jay Jones, it should hurt Spanberger. There's zero reason, at the very least, on the attorney general side, by the way, that Jay Jones could possibly win after saying something like that. There just shouldn't be. The hope is that Earl Sears obviously gets helped from that. But at the very least, Jay Jones cannot be AG after saying something like that. By the way, zero Democrats, not just Spanberger, zero Democrats, as of this video, have rescinded their endorsements since this information came out. I've actually met Jason Miyares. He's a really good politician, a good AG. I will be shocked if he loses with this scandal. Earl Sears, maybe not going to win. Maybe it's not enough to pull her over. But I would be really afraid for Virginia if he lost. This is not a race. There are some races, right, where there's bad Republicans, decent Democrats, just politically speaking, and the Democrat wins. And it's like, guys, you needed a good Republican there. What were you thinking? But that's not this. This is a race with a horrible Democrat, with scandals, and a fantastic incumbent Republican. That is all the workings of winning in a blue place. Neera Tanden, huge progressive at the Center for American Progress, was on Meet the Press, played defense for what is indefensible, obviously. Take a look.
But can I also say in an interview with Leader Jeffries that can we stop with the pro-clutching about the mean tweets and sombrero tweets? That this week it came to light that a Democrat candidate for Attorney General State of Virginia called for the assassination of a political opponent, called for the assassination of that political opponent's family, and there's not one national Democrat calling for him to step aside. Not one. It's disgraceful.
Neera, let me let you respond to that because that is going to be a big story, I think, in the coming days.
I mean, I absolutely think people should criticize that 100%. Yeah. I think it was a private conversation he had, but still awful and disgusting. Wasn't calling for it public, but terrible. And it should be condemned. But then we should condemn that. But then you should condemn when the president calls the Democratic Party the party of Satan.
Yeah, in all fairness.
Why don't we just say both of those things?
I think I've paid the price for saying for political violence on our side.
But yeah, I agree with that. But let's criticize other Republicans or the president.
I think I
for not saying
But
Satan.
the fact that not one Democrat has stood out when he called for a political assassination, this moment of political violence is crazy.
Again, what needs to be pointed out here is that this thought process is very mainstream on the left. This is not the fringe. And again, that's unsurprising when you look at the focal point for communism and the progressive movement in America. It's complete upheaval, complete revolution. The ends justify the means. That is what they think. Earl Sears, Republican lieutenant governor running for governor of Virginia, just said that. She said it very well at a rally this week. Here it is.
The calls for hate and violence are coming from the mouths of the Democrat Party's leaders. And Jay Jones is just the most recent, and his wish for violent acts the most clear. So if you can't solve a problem, you can't name it, but I will. And here and now.
So she calls it like it is. I think we can all come out against violence, But we have to be clear about something. This is not an all sides problem. When people come out on the right and commit violence, it is the fringe right. It's a random dude with zero power. When people on the left commit violence or speak about violence, it is the Democrat leadership almost every single time. We are not the same. I'm sorry. I'm sick of saying that. Godspeed, Virginia. I pray you make the right decision. Before we get back to the news, guys, I love interacting directly with you. That's why I've created my new Substack, which is a weekly newsletter. It comes right to your email. It's completely free to you. Sometimes I'm not able to get to certain topics on the show, or big tech censors me. So I talk about what I can't talk about on the show on my Substack. Go check it out right now. The link is in the description below.